Thank you for tuning in and welcome back to the Sandwich of Coherency. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this. So recently, as we keep talking about what's happening at the border, there's a whole lot going on. It's not getting as much play in the news as it should. And we've talked a lot about the fentanyl that's been coming across the border. And I'm sure many of you have heard about that. And I'm sure many of you haven't because a lot of stations in the media try to not talk about it as much. They don't want people to understand that there are over 100,000 people that have died from fentanyl overdoses last year in the United States. And the fentanyl is coming across from Mexico. And we hear a lot about it, but we don't hear a lot about where it's being manufactured. And is it being manufactured in Mexico? Is it being shipped into Mexico? These are questions that we really should be thinking about when you consider that they're telling us that this is where it's coming from. And the reality is that it's coming via the Chinese. But not the Chinese, but the Chinese cartels. Because apparently there's a Chinese cartel ring that's operating in Mexico and has been for a while now. So let me go ahead and pull this article up. Because this is very interesting. Because this is from, I want to say this article is from 2020. So Chinese cartels quietly operating in Mexico, aiding U.S. drug crisis by Holly McKay. Let's see. The next U.S. administration will have to counter the growing operation, which is claiming a growing number of American lives annually. So this has been a problem that's been going on. It's not just a problem that began under Biden. It had been happening for a while. It was happening under Trump. And honestly, the numbers were going up. I mean, I'll be honest, but at the rate they were going up, you could see that there's a major effort being put in to stem the flow of it coming into the United States. And it was actually working. Even though we were having a problem, those numbers were kind of looking like they were making their way on the decline. But what happened is when Biden took over and the Democrats opened up at the border with their open border policies, there's no other way to describe it, you began having overdoses going up just hand over fist. But the article, let's just go ahead and continue from that. Let's see. Mexico City, Mexico. From nondescript buildings in the industrial nucleus of Wuhan, across wavy seas to dusty, tinted super laboratories in the heart of Mexico, and then across the jagged southwest border and dispersing like a wild bomb ripping through every crevice of the United States. The growing presence of Chinese drug lords and cartels below the southern border is one that is killing an unprecedented amount of Americans. That's interesting. I mean, we've heard many angles about this. Don't really too much remember hearing anything about Chinese cartels operating in Mexico. Maybe Chip Roy mentioned it. I can't recall at this moment. But according to multiple Mexico-based security and intelligence professionals, the bulk of the deadly work is carried out by the Los Zang, identified as having the largest presence in Mexico for the trafficking of fentanyl and methamphetamine. As per intelligence findings by security firm Fortress Risk Management obtained exclusively by Fox News, the Zangs operate through seemingly legitimate shell companies that offer veterinary services, clothing sales, clinical laboratories, and maintenance of computer systems in Mexico. They use ports of Lázaro Cárdenas, Michoacán, Manzanillo, Colima, and Ensenada. Wow. They have the collaboration of customs authorities and members of the Sinaloa and Jalisco Nueva, explained Lee Alton, Fortress co-founder and COO. Once in the country, the drug is transported by air and land to the United States through the states of Jalisco. Wow. And I mean, So apparently, as well, in June, they also arrested 4 Chinese individuals and hit them with the Kingpin Act. How much fucking fentanyl were they trying to bring in? So look, I mean, that's from 2018. You know, it's how far back it goes. I mean, this is just absolutely insane. So if you think about how bad it was then, and it felt like it was a problem then, and it was. But you think about the fact that now we're at tens of thousands of people dying from this. This is an actual fucking issue that needs to be addressed, and the White House is doing nothing about it. And they call you a racist, a xenophobe, a bigot if you dare say anything about it. No, no, that's not what it is. It's people asking questions, wanting to know what the hell is going on. Why is the United Nations stating that the US-Mexico border is the deadliest crossing in the world? These are issues that must be addressed. We have a president that can only work 5 days a week. He can't read off of a teleprompter. And when he does it absolutely terrible. And the White House tries to correct it. Oh yes, that little gaffe he made the other day, they actually attempted to edit the official records. I mean, that's bad. This whole White House is falling apart. This administration is falling apart. Right now, the United States is absolutely falling apart, and the world knows it. People around the world know this. You have people coming into the United States knowing they can come into the United States through the US-Mexico border illegally from all over the world. People are coming from basically every country, well, not every country, but there's over 150 countries of people that we know that have come to the United States through the US-Mexico border illegally. And the president, this motherfucker's in Delaware, shitting his pants. But I want to play a little clip real quick. I've played this before, but I want to play it again so this stays fresh in people's minds so they understand. Let's watch Chip Roy ream Mayorkas. It's just too hilarious not to watch again, but people really need to understand the severity of just what this really means.
How about the little girl here with a brand on her arm? A little girl with a brand on her arm because of your policies. A little girl here in the desert found by ranchers trying to save their life. And how about the lost voices for people dying from fentanyl? The tens of thousands of Americans dying from fentanyl. Faces of Americans across this country dying because of fentanyl pouring into our country.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
You know full well.
The time of the gentleman has expired, Ms.
Encouraging people to come here, harming Texas and harming this country. You know it. And you're ignoring the
time
actual
of
truth.
the gentleman has expired. He no longer has time to slander the secretary.
And there was no slander there. I mean, honestly, Chip Roy was just telling the truth, stating the facts. Jerry Nadler should go somewhere and shit his pants again, because that's what he's good for. Mayorkas, this dude should have retired. They should have fired him. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some way to bring him up on some charges for his incompetent job. There are American citizens that are dead at the moment. And these are specifically because of the policies of this current White House. There are families that have loved ones that are gone because of the policies of this current administration and the Democrats that are in charge. And I hope that people keep that in mind this November. And remember, these people are not your friends. If you listen to what they really want for you, it should scare you because in the end, you will be browbeaten. They are going to break you down. Their end goal, we're still figuring that one out, but it's becoming clear it's not positive for the continuation of the United States. But I thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.